me while I whip this out.
Yeah, we're off the rails right off the bat. We're getting into the deep weeds here. Problematic, sure. But late by 21 minutes, not to anyone's fault. We're not going to blame anybody, Greg. I know you're cheering yourself in backstage, but no, I told him to take his time. If you guys miss Pop Culture Philosophers monthly look back, I definitely recommend you take some time to do it. A great panel. Robbie comes in like fourth out of the best people on that panel. No shame to Robbie, but he is stacked with great comic fans and great comic community readers. So you should check it out. I'm not saying where Greg fits in those five, but he is here because we're talking beards, bourbon, and babes here. What's going on, man?
Listen, as long as I'm top five, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that there's only 5 people on the panel. As long as I'm still top 5, that's all that matters. Listen, Sheena, I'm here. Gang, I'm here. John knew from the get-go this was going to be. Listen,
I think you accommodated us.
I said I can do Friday night.
Yeah,
it's gonna be dependent on when our stream ends. It could be anywhere from 9 to 9:15. It ended at like 9:17. We're here now because you got to get ready, prep for the show.
Yep.
But listen, if anything is worth the wait, it's a quart of wings and ruin and a quart of beards and bourbons, gang. Like if we gave it to you, if we gave you instantly. There's a reason Sarah J. Maas writes a 700-page book.
Yeah.
You got to anticipate the excitement, and that's what we're here for.
She understands good pacing, leading into like that satisfaction.
You want that spice right away, but the build-up is better. See, you want the spice of this show right away, but you need the build-up, gang.
Yeah. This is not 50 Shades of Grey. We're
not just putting it out there for you guys to enjoy. Like you got to have the build-up.
The amount of work that goes into a show like this, you guys don't understand. Like the amount of prep, the amount of time spent.
I mean,
Greg didn't even read the one paragraph I messaged him. It's that much work.
Listen, I can't. But I'm sorry, books with crazy. I saw you all mention in Columbus. Come, I'll make it up to you. I'll buy you a book.
Bethany. Yeah, and I've got to still come up with a great idea because I'm buying tumblers for you and me and for this.
Because I guarantee you the book. I guarantee you the book that she's talking. The bookstore she's talking about is the Book Loft in Columbus. There's it's a store in Columbus that has 32 different rooms that are just books. Like it's fantastic. It's a book nerd's dream.
Sounds amazing.
That's the hottest thing, including the book we're talking about tonight.
We'll drink some bourbon and we'll go shopping for books.
That sounds phenomenal.
Perfect night.
Justin,
great night.
How you doing? No good comment. This is your second round of this. How do you survive? What are you thinking here?
I mean, clearly you guys asked everywhere else, and then we're like, shit, we're just gonna have to go back to this guy again, I guess.
Let's be honest. Greg and I have been waiting for you. Greg and I finished this book, I think, in 2022 somewhere. And
bro, I'm in my Throne of Glass era now.
You're crushing that. You're so ahead of me on Throne of Glass right now.
Oh my goodness! I was done.
I'm done with Assassin's Blade, but that's about where I'm at.
I'm halfway through the
Assassin. You wait, time out, freeze. Yeah. You have already read Assassin's Blade.
I jumped to that second.
Oh my gosh!
So I did Throne, and then I did Assassin's.
Did you watch? So literally, what you're telling me is you watched New Hope, and then you said, "Hey, Charlie, I want to introduce you to this cool series. It's called Star Wars. We're gonna watch New Hope. Now I want you to watch Phantom Menace." That's what you did. That's what you did.
Accurate.
That's what you did.
That's fair. Yes, that's what I did. But I mean, partly I'm blaming Sheena wherever she is in the chat. There she is. Sorry. Poor Justin.
Yeah, help me, Sheena.
Hey,
let me say hi to some folks.
Let's watch Attack of the Clones before you get to Empire Strikes Back.
I don't think it's that bold. I think it's more of it feels more Frost and Starlight, which we can discuss at some point, than it feels Throne of Glass to me.
I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm just saying
no, not quality. I'm just saying as far as significance.
No.
Yeah. All right. Sheena was here 5 hours ago. She was here 5 hours ago.
She was ready.
She was absolutely
honestly. I could have started 5 hours ago if we would have done it before Robbie's show.
Right.
That's on John. That's
on me because I literally got home less than an hour ago. And then she said, Bearded better not be late because he's cupcaking. I didn't hear about cupcaking. I don't know.
I mean, I was milking it up over there. Yeah, let's be honest.
I don't know that I like the K in club. It feels a little clannish to me. I don't know.
Ooh,
That
don't
I like
say that. Don't say
Yeah.
that, book. Don't say that. I
Yeah.
haven't read it yet. This is the next one. Don't. And then I'll read Assassin Blade.
Yeah. What is Bethany doing? How are you doing, girl? You are awesome. And I do need to come up with a fun design that would be like Bros of Sarah J. Maas, like centric. I want to get some kind of a design. She does amazing tumblers. She's got an incredible Etsy thing going. And I want to come up with some design that would be like Bat Bros kind of related. So the three of us, because I'm gifting you guys for this. I'm gifting you guys some tumblers. So just be ready. Not that either of you need more tumblers in your life, but be ready.
I definitely do. So
there you
That's like saying you don't need more comics. I know you have enough. Man, I'm gonna enjoy it no matter what, John.
I'm like,
gonna
I
still
definitely
enjoy
need
it.
more.
Stay awake, Bethany. We got you. I got to be at work in 6 hours. I'm usually trying to sleep, but I don't want to miss this.
Listen, I will do my part to
Ladies.
make it worth the lack of sleep.
Adulting does suck. I agree. I've been adulting 10. I've been doing 10-hour shifts this whole week, and it's I don't have much left in me. All I've got. I told Justin I've got enough room for fairy smut and bourbon, and that's all I got.
That's it.
That's all I got.
That's all you need.
That's not even adulting, so you're okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm here because Mrs. Bearded did all the adulting for me tonight. I'm like, you got to put the kids to bed. I've got to talk. I've got important
same.
shows to talk about comics,
That's
and I got to
MVP
talk
right there.
about fairy smut. Like you got to you got to do it. And she took one for the team. So like
Nice.
all love and praise goes to Mrs. Bearded.
Yeah, Mrs. Bearded crushing
Heck
it tonight,
yeah.
and Miss Lady No Good, I'm sure, doing the same.
Yeah.
What is up, Kevin from Entropy and Comics? What you doing, brother?
Yo.
Let's see here. I hope you both be. I know Second and Charles is big on that side. Oh, I don't know what that is. I don't write.
Ooh,
Spoilers.
it's
Spoilers.
Second Charles, from what I've gathered, is like a half price bookstore. It's great.
Okay.
It's like
This is the-
secondhand.
This is the best and worst comment I'm ever going to have on my show. I don't even know that I can handle Sheena right now. I can't handle Sheena at like a 5, but this is Sheena
Yeah,
out of 11.
Sheena's-
I don't know that I'm ready.
Sheena's the best.
Sheena, I'm so glad you're here.
These guys, if you've never been to my channel, you've missed out on a lot of time I spend with these gentlemen, but their links are down below and you should be clicking that and subscribing and checking it out. Now, they both have wrenches in my chat so they can drop their links if they want.
Ooh,
they're
I don't know how to do
down
that.
below.
I don't know. Justin, can you drop my link for me?
You don't know how to drop your own link. This is
No.
amazing.
I don't know. You
I got you,
think I watch
I'll do
people's
this right.
channels? I don't
As
know.
long as I don't freeze here. John, did you notice that I froze, by the way? As you
I did.
guys
You
get
dipped out backstage, but I had 2 versions of you. I was going to add the
Okay, yeah.
frozen one
You
just for the
should've.
giggles of it, but I didn't.
I was like,
Uh,
dang it, we're just getting started.
I joked that Robbie was ranking 4th out of the 5 people on his show today because Nick is top 1-2 for me. Like Nick is incredible. And
Although Nick's picks, I didn't read any of his books.
I absolutely love Nick. I have not been commenting on enough of his videos. I was usually better at it. So Nick, I will try to get better at it. But as far as people wanting to know quality comics
Comic
that are
culture.
dropping right now, and he does this amazing like breakdown where he shows all the books and how they rank. I don't always agree with his rankings, but I love seeing how he does it because then it helps me navigate. Do I want to check that out? Do I want to snag it? Huge shout out to this guy.
Yeah, Nick's one of the best reviewers in the game. So if
Period.
you are
Modern comics, there's nobody like
Yep.
top tier.
comic culture, if you want to know, that's the reason I love being on that show, because I joke with them all, but they're like, oh yeah, but man, they're great. They got great picks. So
Great guy. And then of course, Ruben Guzman. What is going on? Ruben's in the chat.
Hey.
How you doing, Ruben? We got Shop for Comics in the chat. Chedai says, don't watch anything Star Wars. I don't understand what that means. I think he's
I
already
think he's trying to make a
misspelling
joke at Star Wars because I was referencing Star Wars.
Oh, I get it now. Yeah.
I don't know, unless
All right.
unless there's like a knockoff of like Star Pigs, which I would watch that. Like if there was
Yeah.
like a like
Is that the like
Luke
Muppets
Walker or
like
something?
like pigs in spade?
I'd watch that. Like
Christina Payne, awesome community member in chats, supporting. Good to see you, Christina. How are you doing?
Nice.
Air fires when it starts to get good. We're on friendship timeout. There you go.
yes.
All right.
All right, we're back in. I'm in. That's where I'm at, gang. I'm ready for it. I'm ready. After this show, I'm starting this.
I love this chat. It's hilarious. There it is, Bearded Comic Bros link right
Thank
there.
you, Justin. For
And he can drop his own link too. I know.
I don't know
he's
how to.
not-
No,
I'm
so
talking
thank
about
you,
Justin. He could also drop his own link.
because I can't drop it, Justin.
Chris, what is going on, my man? Been reading a lot of
Oh.
Playboy lately. Great articles.
I got
Greg
you.
is already a half a bottle in. Him not reading my picks there.
Technically, I'm not. I had one drink to make a joke, and then I
Yeah.
just kept the shot glass here because I knew I was coming on this show. So I was like, I can't drink pre-bourbon and
You
quarts.
can't pregame the bourbon game.
No, because then listen, I'm not gonna make sense anyways on this
Bourbon
episode,
be
but
fair.
I gotta at least rein it in that like
Yeah.
I'll lose steam halfway through this episode. That's the plan. So
Fair. Paul, Big O, he's going to be one of the guys guiding me through Throne of Glass. So when we jump into Throne of
Oh,
Glass, expect
nice.
some Bearded and Paul on that
Do
show.
do we still call it a beard of court and bourbon?
He's
Like,
got a little thing going there.
no, I was just saying
Beards
'cause
and
we're going to a
bourbon?
new
Going
series.
off a court.
Oh,
I feel like we should because that's our thing.
yeah. I mean, Court of Beards and Bourbon can continue with Throne of Glass when we get over
Or-
to Paul.
Or
Because I know he's a big Throne of Glass fan, and I'm eventually going to plan a whole ladies night where I just sort of sit in the corner of the stream and let Sheena and Inja and
Well,
Bethany tell me
you know-
about their thoughts.
timeout can you plan that stream like when you are visiting me and we can be on the same corner of the screen
Ooh.
together and then we can do that so like we can just kind of like
What's the
We-
opposite of mansplaining? Because that's really what the show is going to be. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the inverse of that is.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it'll be better than any episode we've done.
NPG is a 9-panel grid. NPG
Eric's
is
also
in the
on the
chat.
panel.
What's up, Eric? He was, another top tier player in that panel over there, and putting Robbie lower on the list. Just keep lowering him down a little bit. He needs
Robbie,
that.
listen, of all the people that have hopped off that stream, Robbie hasn't been here yet, so you can drop Robbie down all you
I mean,
want.
it's fair. He doesn't know. He don't know.
He doesn't know.
We got John, another California John. What is going on,
Hello.
Cali Comics? Good to see you, sir. And it's now 12, almost 13 minutes in, and we haven't started talking. So let's segue over to the topic of the night. This is the third stream that Greg and I have done regarding Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorn and Roses series, and we're basically at the culminating piece in the first trilogy or the first arc of the story. And that's my first real question for you guys, because for me, this felt like a Return of the Jedi kind of thing. I got big climactic third volume vibes coming out of this book. The first book ended with a cliffhanger, very much Han Solo going into the enemy territory, and we got to go rescue him. And we had that vibe at the end of the second volume for me. And the third volume has us needing to rescue this individual, although she rescues herself, let's be honest.
Right.
And then building to this giant final battle, right? So I just was curious if anybody else got Jedi vibes out of this. Greg, were you feeling any of that trilogy vibe here?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because I feel like it was a great wrap up to a third. Like I was like, if you told me I didn't have to read any more of A Court, I'd be like, okay, I'm happy with the story. This felt good. This felt more Last Crusade to me, because Return of the
Ooh,
Jedi
okay.
has a little bit more like a little fluff. I love Ewoks. I love Ewoks, but there wasn't like the Ewoks part of this book.
Could you count the like beast at the bottom of the library as like
No.
the cute fuzzy?
No, you can't. And that's no, but like if you would have said, hey, it's a trilogy, we're wrapping it up here, I would have been okay with it. And I
Yeah.
would you
And
know,
it does have a little finality to it.
yeah, like there's closure. Like I wouldn't be upset that like, oh, that's how it ends. So yeah, no, I think 3 books, solid. Let's wrap it up. Let's end it. Now I'm a glutton for punishment because this was 80 pages, and I'm like, I want more.
It's beastly.
It's so massive. It's over.
She said.
It's 699 pages. So literally one short of 700. Shame on you, Sarah. You're just like, you just wanted it to
Yep.
not. Like it's so good though. So.
Yeah. What about you, Justin? How are you feeling? And now, you've just started what I jokingly called 3.5, right? You've just started.
Oh, the
Frosted
annual,
Starlight.
the comic book annual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the holiday special of Star Wars.
I'm in the
The
middle
Star
of
Wars
one.
holiday special.
This is what we call the beard episode of Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
The
Yeah,
fourth
I'm in the
one
middle.
is the beard episode.
Dude,
You either like it or you just like listen. When I rewatch it, I skip it. Like,
How do you feel
it's
about
one or
Christmas?
two.
Is really what it comes down to. Me. Like, do you feel? Do you like Christmas? Do you want to have
I
a
love
Christmas
Christmas,
episode? Because that's what you got.
Yeah, like I'm having a hard time with that. I know it's a little book.
It's
but,
an annual. It's an annual.
My
For
wife
comic
looked at me
book
when I
fans,
was reading
the
that one. My wife
fourth
looked at
book
me and
is an
said,
annual.
"What did Sarah just get tired of writing?" Because
Yeah.
like she saw like all these books, and then the other one's like a fraction.
Yeah.
Did she just like not
Yeah.
want to write anymore? I'm like, oh, you
Spoiler alert, Greg. I feel the same way about Blade's Assassin's Blade. Like it does feel like that, like because it was 5 novellas that they put together into one small book.
See,
so be ready. So sorry, Justin, you never answered the question.
No,
right over.
Sorry,
Justin.
go ahead, Tamlin. Go ahead,
You're good.
Tamlin.
No.
Whoa.
Hey,
that's
hey.
hate talk in this chat.
Did you not remember that from last talk? I'm bringing
I
back
have changed is what I'm saying.
I'm bringing back last
I know Sheena is
Lady
a Tamlin
Noga
stan,
does what she wants
but
to
like
do. No.
I don't know that we need to call names in this.
Yes,
chat
because I had to bring it back because last episode because he
Did
said
we
he was
just-
gonna. He said he was going to force his wife to read a book whether she wanted to or not, and I said that's very Tamlin.
That's very Tamlin-esque.
Yes,
Very
yes.
Tamlin-esque.
So I'm recalling it so people can go watch it.
Yeah. What
It's
is
a
up,
marketing tactic. That's
Carlito? What is going
Sorry,
on? Hashtag fairy smut.
We
Spelled
interrupted
correctly,
you,
by the
Tamlin.
way.
Go.
Mother, father. No, so I was laughing as you guys are talking about this whole Star Wars trilogy because this is the question I had posed to you guys, or I was about to pose to you guys right before we went live, where I said, I'm not quite sure what you meant by this. And so that is it. You wrote in your notes comparisons to the original Star Wars trilogy. And I just stared at that line. And I don't know if
it didn't make sense to you.
I don't know if maybe I'm not a big of a Star Wars fan as I thought, or maybe I just overanalyzed it. I'm like, I don't remember any like.
I mean, you saw Greg shake his head the whole way through
Justin
it.
Justin's sitting there like, I did not see Faery kissing Elise there at all. Like, I don't
yeah.
Like that's weird.
I'm
Like there was no
what was a
sibling making
lightsaber?
out.
Yeah,
Like
there
how's
wasn't
this
any
Star
of it.
Wars?
I was like, what represented a lightsaber in that? I was like, I don't no, not, as far as, and I kind of get where you're going with it now, especially Greg, with how you answered, but I would say I did not, I mean, clearly I did not think Star Wars at all throughout. But, you know, you call it a trilogy, and I know some would call it a trilogy. I really don't see it as a trilogy. I really saw when we said this last time, but like book 1 and 2, I saw as one. I saw it as a 1A, 1B, and then this is like the other book. You know, like if someone were to, I know, was it you, John, that was reading it digitally? You're reading all in like one.
Correct.
Shot,
Yeah, it's like one
so,
epic.
like, if there was no breaks of titles and you just read through the first 2, like you almost wouldn't know you read 2 books in a row. You know, obviously it'd be long, but the story part, it's just so. Here's one side of the story. Here's the other side of the story.
Yeah,
and then this one, you know, just okay. Now that you have the whole story, let's move on to this epic. Other part, you know, like so. To me, it's like. It's really like 2, but
those
so
first
would
2
you
books
say this is more Lord of the Rings extended edition?
Oh god,
this is Return of the King extended edition director's cut,
Lord.
Or is this Justice League Snyder's cut?
You're gonna get kicked off the stream for that kind of talk. I'm just telling you right now. That's a bullshit. But no, I get your 1A, 1B because the yin yang of those first 2 books is very much like Tamlin and then Resend. And
like if
then,
you don't read the second half, you like some people, and I've heard some people like they stop reading after the first. I mean, Lady No Good was not a big fan after the first one. She was like, it's okay, like there's parts of it, but she's like, and I'm like,
I get that.
You then forced her to do something against her will.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you're being very Tamlin like there, but you did a Tamlin like move by saying you have to do this whether you want to or not.
I mean, he's an
so then you forced her to eat the soup, and the second after the second
you will
book,
be my mate. You will be my mate, Lady No Good.
After the second, was there a different reaction?
I was like Lucian. I was basically like Lucian, like not reading the room at all, and just
already Eric's like, okay, it's like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, but smutty and depends on if you like Christmas.
Perfect.
That's
you
fair.
nailed it.
I mean, that's you really hit a lot of.
That's
nails
why you
on the
need to
head
watch
there.
the monthly comic review on Robbie's show.
Nice.
So then I guess what my biggest takeaway from this book was that the stakes jumped in a huge way for me.
Oh yeah.
Like deaths, the impact of decision making, character transformations, like all the little nuggets. And I can see why people like this book the best of the first three, because all the little payoffs play out, right? Everything happens.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm gonna let Greg kick it off here. Like, was there a payoff in this third novel that was like, yes, I love this one? What was the like payoff where you're like, that character arc, that character moment, that reveal, that result, that twist was like, count me in, like that? That was the one.
I mean, for me,
you're having trouble segregating this book from the fifth one, aren't you? I
Yeah,
know you are. I know. I can see it on his
Yes,
face.
yeah.
He's like, did that happen in the fifth book or the third book?
no. So again, full disclosure, when I want to be honest to the people here.
Please.
I read the book 2 months ago as I waited patiently for Justin to finish reading so we could do this stream. I am now in another completely different era.
But you've also read all 5 of the first.
Yes,
books.
I've read all 5.
Finish the fifth.
Because you have not read the 5th yet.
I have not.
Yeah.
I stopped,
and I'm already about to
3.5.
start the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass. So like,
I can't believe you're that deep in that. You're blowing.
Listen,
it out.
I have fallen down the rabbit hole of Sarah J. Maas. Like,
I love it.
My girls are gonna just get me these books for my birthday this weekend. Like that's just what they're doing. They're like, Dad, we just want to get you these fairy smut books. We know
I mean,
like them.
everybody gets something out of it.
So I had to do a rewatch of a recap video to remind me what happened in this book. So I wouldn't spoil stuff that happened in previous or in.
You're just gonna like quote the other video you just watched.
I love it.
So I literally, I had to watch. I'm like, all right, I gotta watch a recap because I don't remember what happened in this one compared to 4 and 5. And
To do the recap.
so, the moment for me though is my girl French Fry. She's great.
Yeah.
And the end battle scene, it's interesting because I don't want to go too deep down this road, but like
You want to jump to the end already?
No, not even the end, but like to see like the female protagonist of this novel compared to the female protagonist in the Throne of Glass series. Yeah. Like French Fry faery had a bunch of moments before where it was like, hey, like she's where I feel like in Throne of Glass, like my female protagonist jumps out a little bit quicker than
she's fully formed by the time you get her in Throne of
Glass. So like
that's the big
she
difference.
Had some moments like that where it was like, yes, let's go, let's do this. There are some moments towards the end in the battles, a little bit before the battles, where they're doing some reconnaissance to get some people to join their sides. I'm like, okay, that's my girl. Like, she's going to crush it. She's dominating. Like, let's go. So,
there's some cool stuff where she sets the table for that final battle. That's kind of, I freaking love that stuff. What about you, Justin? Was there like because I think you have the same one as me, so I'm hoping that you bring it up. But like, what was the like payoff bit or the sequence where you were like, oh, I'm so glad this played out that way? Because I didn't, for whatever reason.
So I'm curious what yours is. I feel like mine's a little off the cuff, but I loved the 3 death gods coming into battle at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, wondering where that whole thing was going with the Bone Carver, especially.
Yeah,
Bone Carver is like my favorite. That we didn't get. We talked about it after our show last time, and I was like, man, we didn't really get to mention the Bone Carver. Like, I loved any time that Bone Carver was involved in a chapter, just the dialogue and the description of, what is the Bone Carver going to look like every time you go to sea, because they changed their look. And the first time around in the second book, him and her and Cassian, her and Cassian saw 2 different, people or whoever it was that was with her. And so it was a cool character. I love the idea of the Bone Carver. And then to just this whole, Ouroboros mirror that she had to, that had a really cool message. I know I'm like naming all these things that happened, but ultimately the 3 death guys, the one under the library,
Braxis,
and then I can't think of the third now, but
the carver, right? That's the Bone Carver, the Weaver.
Oh, the Weaver, yes, those three being at the end and all of them, I genuinely pictured like a on your left, like
Yeah.
special moment where they just charge, you know, they
Yes.
just all charge, like Ant-Man coming out of the thing, like that kind of thing. I just
Yeah.
pictured those three death gods going off and like, you know, questioning like, who am I allowed to kill again?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
yeah.
hey, don't kill
Well,
our
even-
people, just kill, you know, the bad guy.
And you were just in an Avengers trailer, Justin. I saw on Colossus Collector.
I
So,
did
like,
just see
True.
that.
who were you? Were you Ant-Man?
It's true. It's true. No, I was what's his name? Drax.
Same thing.
So mine was Tamlin is up there as far as characters I don't like, but he's trumped by Ianthe or whatever you call her.
Oh yeah,
like,
Ianthe. Yeah.
And her comeuppance is the greatest thing like in the world. Like the fact that she shows up with her cronies at one point, and so for those that aren't readers of this series, like this awful woman who's basically manipulating a ton of our main characters behind the scenes shows up to kill this mysterious creature that our hero is meeting with. And our hero comes up with a very creative way to wipe these characters off the map. And it's to force them to chase her into the Weaver's cottage and then duck back out, lock them in, and be like, "You dead now, bitch." Like,
when she made serial killers people go in there, like,
it was so
what a boss move. What a boss move. That I'm retracting my previous statement. That's it.
It's my favorite
moment.
That's
Not
it.
only do you have the death of the Serial, I don't know how to say the character.
Yeah, Serial,
it's Serial. So like Serial. So
like
the people that killed her, you can call them serial killers.
I get it. So like there's
I was wondering where you were going with that when you said that.
Two,
I'll be here all night, gang.
You have the two killers and you have Ianthe, this awful woman, and they chase Feyre all the way to into this cottage that she knows has death waiting in it. She's hiding behind the door, so they go rushing in, and she busts back out, locks them in, and it's like it was so satisfying. Like that moment was so, as a reader, I was like, oh no, they didn't just chase her into this woods. They didn't just chase her to that cottage. They didn't just do this. They didn't just sign their own freaking death warrant. And then for me, the best part of it is she doesn't even stay to enjoy the victory. She runs back because the Serial is dying, and she feels the need to honor that sacrifice.
Be there with
and
her.
So then you're like crying with like tragedy over here, and then crying with joy over here that freaking woman got her comeuppance. I was like, I love that sequence, and it was so many things paying off.
Yeah,
because the previous book had Feyre slipping out of that cabin and not getting trapped in there, and you were thinking like, oh, what would it be like to get stuck in there?
Yeah.
Well, she kind of got stuck in there for a second. She was like that Santa Claus in the chimney there.
Yeah. She got Santa Claus.
Get out of there.
Yeah,
but she did.
She made it. What is up, Barbarian Kung Fu? My man Chad is in the chat. What's going on, Chad? He runs some of the best and most entertaining YouTube auctions with trivia anywhere in the YouTubes. I won a Batman toy just because I answered trivia correctly in this guy's chat.
Nice.
It was
Did you send that toy to me yet?
Not yet. So I buy great comics at cheap prices from this guy, but then also you can win prizes by just having fun hanging out in his chats and answering trivia during the auction. It's amazing. And
he's the always
a good dude too.
He's good people.
Great
I've bought
comics,
books.
cheap.
Yeah, from the beginning of my time in this community, I've always bought books from Chad, and he's just the bomb. So if you guys aren't following him, you're missing out. And hit the notification bell because he goes live every other week and sells great books. So a lot of that sequence for me it was prime. It was just amazing.
That so the part you mentioned with the Serial scene like that, her dying at the end. I remember messaging Sheena and just telling her, I just got to this part.
I was so mad and happy.
Right, like it was so emotional, and like I just love how they had, how that whole thing kind of ended for everyone. It was very sad.
Oh my god.
I'm
gonna go chronological now. We jumped to some favorites, but let's go chronological. The last book ended with Feyre basically going undercover. She told a fantastic lie and sold it beautifully, and basically tricked everybody into believing that she was brainwashed this whole time. And she went back with her first boyfriend, I guess you could say, Tamlin, back to his land, pretending to be in love with him, while her newly transformed sisters, who had become fairies, were escorted away by her mate to his lands. Rhysand basically saved everybody, and they all escaped in the commotion of her pretend revelation. So the first, I would say, it's not even a quarter of the book, but the first chunk of the book is a lot of like spy Mission Impossible undercover stuff where Feyre is behind enemy lines.
Does Feyre do her own stunts?
Absolutely. Manipulating a ton of people, and then the escape back to Rhysand. I want to talk a little bit. I'm going to throw it to you, Justin. I want to talk a little bit about that journey, because for me, I couldn't stop reading after I finished the second book. I had to immediately dive into the third book because that cliffhanger was so strong. I could not stop, and I rolled right into it. And as frustrated as I was to be in the spring court for so long, like that journey, I really enjoyed. I was curious, like how you felt about all that, like that whole. Were there moments that stick with you now?
Yeah. So I mean, and thinking back to how the one before this ended, so the way I took it was that this was her only way to like have that whole big meeting dissolve at the end and kind of have everybody like go their own way and get her real people back home, and she'll just go with the ex for now and play dumb and all this stuff. And Tamlin's an idiot, by the way. I know we talked about this, but he's such an idiot. It's like, oh, great,
you're gonna make you mad.
I knew it.
She's still in the chat.
So
yeah.
Yeah. So she goes back, and I love that. Yeah, like you said, she's stirring the pot. I mean, in a way, I think she's doing it partially because she's just like, okay, I'm here. Like, I might as well do some things, and I have to kind of play along for a while. I can't just get up and leave. That doesn't really resolve anything. So I think in her mind, she's like, great, I'm here. Let me stir the pot. Let me, move some pieces around. I'll try to shout down the tunnel to, talk to
Reese Cup.
Reese, just to give him the heads up that I'm okay or whatever. But yeah, ultimately, like reading that, it was like a little bit more setup. You got introduced to those two characters that were the brother sister,
the prince and princess. Yeah. I mean, if you talk about your prince and princess kissing, the brother and sister kissing, it was right there. It was on the nose. It was like right there.
So
and then when the one kid saw it, and so he pushed him out the window.
Oh wait, now we're in Game of Thrones.
We're going.
Yeah, it's Game of Thrones, Star Wars.
Yeah, it's all bring it all in.
It's all
so that the way that this little arc that we're talking about now, the way that when she does make her escape, I just love those end scenes. I don't know if you wanted to get into that, but just
go for it.
Just her having the whole plan set up, and basically leaving Tamlin again on her way, and then before she leaves, she sees Lucian in a really bad situation with Ianthe, and can't help but go back, and save him, and does it in a way that like Ianthe gets her hand broken, like that was so fantastic. Good. That whole scene was so good.
Oh my god!
And it made me like, I'm rooting for Lucian, I'm rooting for her, like just like all that in one. And of course the twin or the prince and princess, they're dead. So that was like, I mean, for a beginning of a book, I was like you said, I mean, I was just hooked, like so excited.
Stop.
Especially knowing like, holy crap, we're not even back home yet. Like what? Like. No. Where's this going now? Like this is, and of course they're on this big journey, but like, it was,
which sets up what Paul was saying here, as far as that whole sequence where Feyre and Lucian are then on the run, trying to get back to the Night Court, traveling through all these other lands and skipping around while they're struggling with their abilities being all over the map.
Ooh, and they got to deal with Lucian's brothers.
Let's get into that, Greg. What were your thoughts on that?
No, I don't want to. I want to get to the question you asked earlier.
Go ahead.
Don't skip me.
Sorry.
Don't skip me.
I won't. Sorry. I was just trying to set you up.
Sorry, John. Can you repeat the question? I forget what you asked.
Did you read this freaking book? I don't even know that you read it. You made him mute himself. That's how bad you've taken this.
So good. So good. Cheers, Cheers.
The first quarter is really about Feyre destroying the Spring Court and then racing off with Lucian to the Night Court. Like, what were some of your thoughts on the takeaways of that?
I appreciate you telling me. It was a joke, John. But here's the deal. I have a love-hate relationship with Tamlin. I'm be honest, because I say love-hate in a way of like this. I think we need more Tamlin in the books than we get, because I think Tamlin is underutilized as a character that I love to hate.
Fair.
And I feel like him in this section, Tamlin. All right, the opening part of this book, Tamlin's booty blinded. Okay, like let's be honest, he's booty blinded. Like the fact that he's like, oh yeah, French Fry is coming back to me. Like she's all good with me. Like we're cool. Like bro, she's not. She's playing you like a fiddle. Like anyone, we know it. As a reader, she knows it. Lucian knows it. Lucian smells that out right away. Lucian's like, listen, nope.
Come on. Yep.
Tamlin's just like, Tamlin's the guy like where he's like, Tamlin's with his buddies and they're like, hey, bro, like she's not good for you. Like she's playing you. And he's like, guys, listen, like, no, I think this is gonna work. This is gonna work. This is, and like they're like, Tamlin, stop. So like that part was a little bit where I'm like, bro, like chill. Like he was booty blinded.
He's easy to hate. He's easy to
hate. But here's the deal: I spent so much time with Tamlin in the first book that I feel like he got underutilized.
Yeah,
in 2 and 3. That I think they could really go more with that, because I'm not trying to say like even like a love triangle. I don't want to.
No.
I've said it on episodes of. I don't want a Betty Veronica. I don't want a Tom King writing the Decision comic here, like he did this Wednesday with Archie. I want them separate, but I think Tamlin is so wrapped up in faery, French Fry. What I can't listen.
Where did French Fry come from?
I feel like half of our show is just badly pronouncing the names of
Sarah J. Maas takes words and just throws them against a book and like, I'm gonna call it that now. Like, yes. Like this is what our country is called now, of this land that we live in. I don't know.
But you're a DC fan and they've got Dark Side. Like, let's just not play this game. Dark Side is not. Yes, Dark Seed is the correct pronunciation.
But I know how to say Batman.
There you go.
Pretty easy.
Is there a hyphen? Is there a space?
No.
It's not Batman.
Because Batman still has an uncle. So like I like that. I like the opening sequence, but I feel like Tamlin's underutilized in the story moving on in books 2 and 3.
And I think somebody mentioned, I think it was Paul in the chat, the fact that he has 2 mild or moderate redemption moments in this novel, right? 2 moments when he does something either at the very end for Rhysand or for Feyre in the escape from the camps, right? There's 2 moments.
And I think if they leaned into a little bit more of his story where he was not so much like Michael Keaton Batman in the Flash movie here, where he's holed up in his decrepit.
I don't think he even gets that much credit.
He's
at least in that movie. We're excited when he shows up.
Yeah, but he still is. He's in a rundown mansion. Nobody's talking to him. He's sitting alone eating a bowl of spaghetti. Like that's
oh my god,
life.
Yeah, that's
he doesn't even have
when Rhysand goes to visit him and he's just like wallowing in his like depression is like hilarious and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just feel like if they would have given him a little bit more, not even in book 2, let book 2 shine with Reese Cup and French Fry. Like let them have that relationship,
right?
And
this book,
I feel like in this book they needed a little bit more Tamlin give again just that, because I feel like if he had a couple more moments, those moments that you're talking about, the redemption moments, would have more impact over you going,
right?
Do I like him a little bit more? And maybe Sarah doesn't even want to, but like I feel like if we lived in that world with Tamlin a little bit more, when he had those moments where he does something that is potentially redemptive, we might have gone, ooh, have
Can
I
I
been a little too hard on Justin at this point?
Can I
Like,
throw a
I mean,
conspiracy
Tamlin,
theory to you
like-
that might resolve some of this? Because there's a couple of fun theories about
Bring it.
Tamlin floating around in the ACOTAR world. One of them I heard is that he somehow was mated to Amarantha. That his understanding of the mating process was so skewed because he felt the mating bond to her and yet fought it the entire time, all the way through to killing her. He fought it.
Mm-hmm.
So when he understands that Rhysand is, he doesn't understand why Faery can't just walk away from the mating bond, because he did it. He did it for years. He did it for so long, fought the mating bond, and he doesn't see any value in the mating bond. He thinks it's an antiquated idea. And so to him, he's baffled by the fact that he's done everything he believes to shelter and protect her, and she's walked away from it. When he's like, look, I was mated to the worst woman in the world, that I killed her ass, and I don't think mating bonds are worth a damn. I thought that was a phenomenal take. And then if that comes out to be true, I was like, dang, that adds a whole other layer for me.
Yep. It's a great point.
Nothing from Greg. He's like, I don't have anything to say now, because I have read the fifth book and I can't say anything that might come up in the fifth book.
I don't
ruin it.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm fully invested in that theory.
Okay. I liked the theory, and it definitely, for the 3.5 books I've read, like
from where you're at,
it added enough context to make me feel like, oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because I do think the mating bond as a concept has a lot of room to expand. We saw, and we can discuss Lucian and get really deep into this whole, because there's a bunch of great memes all about Lucian basically being like, you know, this woman covered in like cauldron dreck falls on the floor, and I'm like, I just died in your arms tonight, and he's just like, you're my mate. And now I'm gonna just like
clearly hit on that last episode that Lucian was a little bit of a
and it just keeps going. It just keeps going.
A
little aggressive,
like tone it down, tone it down a little bit.
Just pump
like,
the brakes. Give her time.
Buy me a drink first, you know. Something.
Clean me off of the cauldron yuck. I mean, so I do think in the universe in general, that concept has moved.
Lucian was trying to have that, like, he saw the girl drown in the ocean. Lucian was the lifeguard. He went in Baywatch slow motion. Like, that's his mindset. Like, he's slowly pulling her. He's gonna breathe life into her.
Sandlot scene.
Like,
Scene.
That's his Wendy Peppercorn.
Well, then let's get into the Wendy Peppercorn side of this. I want to talk about Nesta and Elaine, because they get a little more room.
I kept calling her Elise, so I'm glad you corrected me.
I think it's
I don't know any of the names.
That one's pretty easy. I'm just gonna say, like, it's Lane with an E at the beginning. Like,
again, I read this 3 months ago. I was playing.
It's a pretty modern name, you know.
Justin.
So I'm going to go to Justin then, because Beard's not ready.
I'm ready.
The sisters are an interesting set here, because once Feyre makes it back, she's got to deal with how her sisters have evolved. Yeah. They've been through the cauldron. They've become Fae, immortal, whatever. And they've got abilities that are just starting to bubble up to the surface. And a big part of this book is dealing with, who are they becoming? What are these powers? What will they be? Yep. And you've got Nesta,
firecracker,
who's just drinking and banging her way through this problem. And you've got Elaine, who is like Rain Manning her way through this. She's just touched by an angel.
John, you don't even know.
I don't even
know.
I'm ready for more. I'm ready for more.
Be careful what you ask for, John.
I'm not careful.
Be careful what you ask for, bro.
Nesta is the Wolverine of like, if Wolverine was in this book.
It's fair. Which would make a beautiful analogy, which would make Elaine like Colossus. She's very chaste, very much like my faith and my history will guide me, even though There's no evidence to
Stephen
back
thought.
this up.
Stephen thought. Yeah, right.
I'm living in a whole other world than where I grew up, but I'm going to trust that my Russian ancestry or my human ancestry will guide me through this process.
Right.
I think, Justin,
All right, nerds, get off to X-Men.
realize what channel you're on.
Yeah, I'm on the Court of Beards and Bourbon, not Omni Plus.
It's quickly becoming a whole other channel at this point. Right? So, Justin, what are your thoughts on the sisters and kind of where this book takes them? Because I think it's very interesting, and obviously we could go all the way to the end with Dad and kind of where this ends. But like, I think there's some interesting stuff in this book with the three sisters.
Yeah, so I think that the fact that the two sisters coming in play such a dynamic, add so much dynamic to the story, especially when Pharaoh comes back, finally gets back home with Rhys-Ann and everybody else. To be introduced to the idea that okay, now they're faery or they're fae. Yeah. We as readers don't quite know what that means other than what we know of the fae race, and other than that, like, we didn't know about what happened with the cauldron. So I like that they build into this whole aspect of they went through some stuff when they were going through the cauldron, and we learn more about that throughout this book. That it wasn't just some like instant thing and it was easy and they got washed and came out of the cauldron or whatever.
It wasn't a baptism.
No, right. It was like clearly it was way more dramatic and a lot had happened, and including Nesta taking something from it and everything else that we're kind of learning about. And we obviously learn a lot about the cauldron itself in this book and how it works as a whole. But yeah, to know how big of a role that they each played, and especially going through towards the before the war, even like the finding where the armies were, things like that. That when you mentioned Lord of the Rings, Greg, that's what reminded me of when she's spotting the cauldron, and the cauldron can spot Nesta at the same time. Made me think of the ring.
Eye of Mordor.
Yes, yeah. So I just thought like little aspects like that. But to see the two of them have two complete different as you were mentioning, John, personalities. Nesta being Nesta, just very tough, very I'm doing things, and she was like this even in book one, but and then of course Elaine still kind of very mysterious, because we didn't know what she was capable of, and clearly her mind was still at home and fragmented. Humans and and wanting to go back to her. I mean, she was going to think about this, like she was going to be married, like that, she was in love, and she
to a Grayson, but not Dick.
Yeah, right. Well, you're right. Yeah,
he is a dick.
But that, see, she did that. But so there's like all these layers, and just to think about what each character is kind of going through in their own terms, just added so much per chapter, or per story that they took. So I like that where it went with them, overall.
I love it. My man, Rod the Rican.
Can we just highlight that Rod has changed his name to Rican Comics and Collectibles?
Oh my God.
Not just a Rican anymore. He's not just a Rican.
And look at the AI logo he's got going there.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't like AI, but I like Rod.
It's a good looking logo.
It's a good logo.
And now it's not just a Rican, it's the Rican.
He's been dropping a ton of great content. The guy, he's going to catch me here soon and blow past me yet again. He's passed me twice in our run here on the YouTube.
On your left.
He's on the left me many times, and it's coming up again. Great gentleman. Thank you, Rod, for coming by.
Rod's the best.
So, Greg, what about you? Thoughts about the sisters, and you can bleed all the way into when Dad reunions with them if you want to go that far. I don't know how far you want to take this, but I think there's a lot of meat on the bone with these sisters.
This is the question I hated, like, because I want to bleed into the fifth book.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Don't make me bounce you off the stream already.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to. So I have to compartmentalize.
Pace yourself. We've already gone almost 50 minutes and we barely scratched the surface of this damn book. Dude, we're not even ready for 0.5 and
we haven't even talked about smut yet. We're Sarah J. Maas in
this was the least smutty of these books too. This third book for me was really light.
Yeah.
I feel like it was more than book one.
Maybe. I don't know. They had the whole
which is
They're
still
about
light.
the same.
That is still not. That's not
They're
saying
still,
much.
they're still about
It's
the
an-
same.
And
But-
we've discussed that many times. This is an unfair
Listen,
title for these series. The fairy
because-
smut thing is a
because
joke
you
in the
think
reality.
all I'll say this is, you think book 2 is like the height of smut right now?
It's the whole soup thing.
Okay,
No, I know.
talk
I
to me
know.
about book 5.
55.
I've
Talk to
seen
me
it-
about book 5, gang.
I've,
Just-
Okay.
I've seen enough memes to know that book 5 is going to like push.
listen,
a
I
new
don't have
level.
to say anything other than Nessa is a freak.
Oh
So
my God.
it is hard to compartmentalize here. We get a little bit of glimpses of, it's Elaine, right? Not Elise. I forget.
Yep. Elaine.
Elaine.
So Elaine here, and she has the ability to sense a cauldron, sense a wall, and
See
like
the
she's-
future a little.
she's getting these things. Nessa is going through trauma. She's going through it now. She's going through it at the end of this book, which then we see plays into the Christmas annual here. Like there's a lot that and it plays into book 5. So for me, like, it's an interesting dichotomy of characters, right? Like, Nessa has to try and figure out like who she is as a person and her loyalty to her sister Elaine, but then also like her kind of like she wasn't as loyal to French Fry, when they were kids.
There's guilt and trauma.
And there's guilt and there's trauma and there's regret there. And so you see that and you see the seedlings of that in book 3 that you get more in 4 and 5.
Because they even hint at the idea that she went in book 2, even like that she went looking for Feyre. That she's the only one that when Feyre was taken that went looking for her.
Right.
Despite the fact that she would never talk or admit what she needed from little sister. Like I think Nesta carries a ton of guilt for being the big sister and yet never being the big sister.
Book 1, they really hammered into Sarah really hammered in book 1 that Feyre's family, not even sisters, her families are just trash. Like that kind of like that they're just like, oh, like, hey, my dad, like, you know what? I'm gonna send my middle daughter. Well, because Nessa's the oldest, right?
Yeah.
And then Elaine's the youngest.
I thought that someone was telling me Feyre is the youngest and Elaine's the middle. But that doesn't seem right to me. But I, as a middle of 3 brothers, I'm really hoping
Feyre's in the middle.
I thought Feyre. Someone in the chat let us know because the analogy dies if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
They're basically like, I feel like Feyre is in the middle because I feel like Sarah J. Maas was also a middle child.
Justin's typing right now.
Yeah. I have no.
Oh no, Elaine is the middle child.
Elaine is.
So Feyre is the youngest.
Okay,
I thought Feyre was the youngest.
I feel like Sarah J. Maas was the middle child because I feel like she's writing Faery of like, hey, listen, like I get your plight. Like nobody remembers us, no one cares about us. We're a middle child.
Yeah.
But so that goes out the window then. So the youngest child, but what that does do is that heightens the level that French Fry's family is trash.
Yeah.
That they're like, listen,
they make the youngest.
I'm gonna make you go out and hunt. I'm gonna tend to my garden. I'm gonna just do nothing. But if you make money, I want you to buy me fancy clothes and fancy jewels and stuff in the town square. And Dad's over here like, listen, I'm just gonna whittle stuff out of wood because why not? Like that's what I'm gonna do. Like
until the end, Dad redeems.
We're not there yet. Not there yet.
I'm just saying, Dad redeems.
We're not there yet. So for me, like her whole like Nessa's dealing with a lot of stuff of like, I'm letting my youngest sister do all the stuff, and all I cared about was her bringing back a kill, so then I could get a fine mink that somebody would notice me in town and stuff like
Yeah.
this. So like she's dealing with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And what I do think what I really like about these books in this series that Sarah really hones in on is she's really good at developing characters. She's really good at honing into real life trauma, because I think there is a lot of stuff of siblings. Of like, I'm the youngest of 3 as well. And like, listen, as the youngest of 3, I want to be real. I didn't go out and I didn't kill anybody who turned into wolves. Like that's, and then have to be boarded up like Beauty and the Beast.
I didn't know. So
that
youngest
didn't
of
happen
3,
to me.
boys or girls? Who's ahead of you here?
I had an older brother, and then I had an older sister on top. So
Okay. I'm the middle of 3 boys. So we're triplets over here.
So, and Justin was an only child.
I mean, you could tell by my YouTube channel that I'm probably a middle child.
Were
You could
you
probably
an
tell
only
by the
child,
whole
Justin?
thing.
So it's weird because I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, but they're like step and after marriage
Half.
is separate. So yeah, so only child,
I'm calling it.
essentially.
So, yeah, I can see
Life is
it.
good.
But you're in the middle of them, right?
I'm in the middle of
So this is why Justin and I get along. We're both middle kids.
we just never like lived together. We didn't grow up together. Like
Yeah.
So, and this is why I'm the youngest child. I'm the faery of the group. I'm the most beloved person. People like me.
you have powers.
Yeah, obviously. So, like, I do think there is a lot of character development. Like, Elaine, I think, is a character that I don't care about and invest in a lot until later on in the series. She still is kind of Elaine still is it Elaine? I keep saying
Yeah,
Elaine.
it's Elaine.
Think of Seinfeld.
I'll correct you.
Well, that's what I keep thinking of. I'm
Trust
like,
your instincts.
and
I'll
then I
correct
just
you.
go with like the weird dance, and I'm like, that's not her.
Oh my god.
But like, I feel like she's a secondary character in all 3 of these books
Yes.
to really highlight Nessa and Faery a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then she gets her shine later in 4 and 5, fine. But I think she's more of a plot device in these books to then tell those.
And
And
the cauldron is this like MacGuffin, and she is the key that keeps it turning.
And she's the key that keeps it turning, but it keeps Nessa is really struggling
She's
with
got
what
a T
happened.
in her name, just so you
Right. Nessa.
know.
What did I say? Nessa?
Nesta.
Listen. She has a D in her name in the rest of the book. So I
don't be kink shaming anybody. We don't kink
I can
shame.
say whatever I want.
She's got a T in her name. Oh my god. That's the quote of the night. I don't know about that. Can we talk about Dad for a hot second?
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's
Carmen.
I-
Kitty's dead.
Dad gets a bum rap for being like I've got a leg injury, but I don't
Does he
really.
rap though?
And then all of a sudden, at the
okay.
end of this
He doesn't
volume,
save his daughter. Like
he
doesn't-
shows up like freaking Aragorn with a whole fleet of ships and
Yeah.
guys.
I just picture him at the front of the ship with his like
And-
Captain Morgan.
So the
Right.
3 sisters' dad shows up and then like sacrifices himself for the 3 of them. Like it feels
I don't
legit
disagree.
to me.
I don't disagree. Let me say that I don't disagree. However,
You got my man Rod laughing, so that's all. That matters.
However,
you got him.
here's the deal. I don't disagree. But this is
I don't disagree, but here's where I disagree.
yes, this is where that and I say I don't disagree because the moment you're talking about it might be the first time I got teary-eyed reading this book.
There you go.
I'm not gonna so I will
Share.
This is not like
You're in a safe space.
this is not like a throw shade like it's a half. I kind of agree, so I can then insult you.
Okay.
Type
I'm
of
used to
thing.
that.
I don't disagree with that because I did get emotional at that point because I'm like,
Okay.
oh. However, it does feel a little bit of like Dad went out for milk and now I come back 30 years later and we're supposed to forget
Oh
that
my
he was
God.
gone for 30 years getting milk. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. No, that's
I-
good. Yeah,
it's
totally.
accurate.
That's all I'm saying.
Totally.
It's a fair
The moment
description.
still hit for me,
Listen,
but
Okay.
I don't want to wash all. I don't.
yeah.
Dad
I'm
was
not-
gone getting milk for a long time in
right.
this book.
Right.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
But the
Yeah.
milk was freaking delicious.
The milk was great. It was whole milk. It was fresh. It wasn't expired. It was
Oh my
it was tasty. They froze some of
yeah.
it, made some ice cream,
Oh my God.
cookie dough.
gang.
It was delicious. However, it took Dad a long time to get the milk.
It did. An awful long time. And he had like fake injuries along the way.
yeah.
Like knee is bothering me.
I would come get you, but you know.
my leg. Oh, brr.
Justin, where were you at when Dad came back and had his redemption?
Yeah, like of course in that moment, very excited, especially the fleet that he brings and hurrah for the war and all this stuff is great. But I agree, Greg. Like you can't. I had a level of respect for him that I lost from the beginning, and
Right, we mentioned him several times. And
Yeah.
Kitty Pryde's dad.
Yes, is that he's a coward. He like I just think of a father who sees his daughter being taken away by a beast to go, just taken away. At that point, doesn't know any context to it, just taken away,
Yeah.
and you just let it happen. Like I just don't think any father would do that. I mean, I'm not a father. I have 2 dogs, so that counts. But that's otherwise in my mind. I just picture like a dad would like not let that
Time
happen,
out.
or at least do everything.
Does your daughter get to live in a massive castle and then I get a lot of riches?
Does he know that though? At that point, I don't think he knows all that.
I know she's been
I don't think
taken
he
away
did.
by the fae.
It's just a beast saying, you're coming with me," and like
I don't know.
that's it. So
and then
I'm just saying.
she runs back off to go be with them, but we don't know what
He's-
happens to her.
he's-
Dad is a
yeah.
little out of, but I mean,
So
for
what
me,
we're
he gets negative marks and demerits for all the stuff before book 1. And then after book 1, we don't know kind of what he does and what his journey is, and that
Right.
might redeem him in
so
some
Justin
regard,
would go
kind of like
go
Tamlin
get Gaston in this situation.
to this same point that Sheena's making. Can we redeem him for stuff we don't see when the stuff we know is
It's
intense,
hard.
like it's
Yes.
bad.
It's hard because I just think about the
Which
things
is
that he
which is
didn't
to Nesta's guilt, right? It speaks to Nesta's guilt too, because she's the big sister who didn't do shit,
right.
and has watched younger sister take the burden for the whole family.
Yeah. That's a good point. Mad Spidey.
I am not a gent, so thank you, Mad Spidey.
You're half. You're half.
No, I am not, and Mad Spidey
I
acknowledged
understand.
that, so I appreciate it. So
As awkward as we are right now, can we jump to the most awkward moment I've read in any of Sarah J. Maas's stories?
how are we awkward? I feel like we're clicking, we're vibing.
All
Yeah,
right,
This is going great. Yeah.
This is great. This is
Justin, I want to talk about the Lords meeting when all the Lords come together. Now we've seen Feyre run away. She's revealed the truth. I am the High Lady of the Night Court. And all the Lords have to come together to decide, are we going to fight this evil king or not? And it gets freaking weird. And it gets freaking uncomfortable and awkward because Tamlin shows up. For me, this is the height of women fiction, because it's all the awkward reality TV drama dropped into one freaking moment when they've all got to sit there together, and Tamlin is going as off color as he can get. He's throwing some crazy statements out there, and they've got to defend themselves and yet also back themselves up. You've got the some people they've burned, like the Dawn Court has to like come, and it's like all happening, all these lords.
Yep.
It's a phenomenal chapter, or even like 2-3 chapters if you want to throw it all together.
Yep.
How you feeling with all this shit dropped?
Yeah,
it's big.
No, you're right. These are probably some of my favorite chapters, and it's funny because you're just like, the chapters are just people in a room and they're just talking, but it's very
quiet council.
Right, and like politics and like, but everybody, like everyone, there's a connection somewhere. Someone across the room has a connection with you or someone from your family or from your side, and it's usually a bad
and
one.
the history goes back so many hundreds of years.
Yes, hundreds of years, and it's like, well, that person killed my girlfriend back in the day, but also I helped kill his wife,
right?
Whatever, like, like there's like, and it's like,
and we only know this little like current section where we know that like, well, Feyre stole shit from that guy's house, and then it's like, well, yeah, she also lied and betrayed all these people, and then like Rhysand did this crap. Yeah, we know the like last 10 years.
Yes.
But or not even that, like last year.
But there's grudges that are still in this room that are like, I'm not even talking.
Awkward.
Yeah. Like, and I'm trying to think too, like, I mean, there's so many names. It was just great to see, like, I guess Baron, which is Lucian's dad, and like Lucian's brothers like coming into play, the awkwardness with Moore being there, like
this is the most out of pocket I think Sheena's ever been. She's on Tamlin's side in those meetings. That's a whole other petty level of Sheena that I wasn't ready for. But go ahead. Sorry, Justin.
No. I mean, I'm just kind of spitballing with just the generalized part of this where, I mean, when they first got together and really, I just love the idea that they have all these large mountains to get over, and they have to get over them and come together in order to win this war, essentially. And so I just love that they hash it out. And it's really more than even just these 3 chapters, but it's just like, I know there's a bulk of it of just even determining what's what to begin. Because isn't there technically there's like 2 different settings of meetings, I think.
It happens a couple of different times, and it built, and obviously the climax is the wall falling down because the cauldron gets basically utilized in the midst of all of this stuff.
Right. And
Nesta starts freaking out, or not Nesta, Elaine starts freaking out because she's like, we got to get out of here. This is bad. This is bad. And all of a sudden, like, this crashing energy happens and the cauldron gets used. But it's kind of like the MacGuffin, because up to then, it's all the shitty bickering, infighting stuff, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, well, you're and your uncle and my aunt and their grandfather and this person and Tamlin is so out of pocket. He's just throwing all kinds of crap out.
Yep.
And Rhysand's just like, shut your mouth. Don't you say my keep my woman's name out of your mouth. It's like so
he Will Smiths it right there.
And he totally does. And Lucian is like, I'm awkwardly in the middle of all of this because Lucian's like, I showed up with these guys, but I know these guys, and I'm just kind of standing in my quiet corner. This is really uncomfortable.
And I like that Lucian can recognize that this stuff's awkward, and yet he can be the guy to say, "You're my mate" when she goes out of the cauldron and not read.
He's just like
awkward in itself. Right?
Yeah, don't speak.
The other thing too, within these moments or these chapters, is not even the meetings during the daytime, but at night when they're there's a whole side story.
This is not a real Gmail address. This does not exist, Greg. There's no. I mean, I can set it up. I don't know that there's a John's Comics with Kids at Gmail, but I'm actually gonna let Justin talk, and I'm gonna see if I can set it up.
You better go. Yeah. But no, but just a reminder that there was like a lot of storytelling during the nighttime where they almost acted fine again, or some of them did. And I just think of Lucian's brother and Moore kind of going off and fooling around, and everyone else is like, oh, like, and I forget where Azrael was, but he wasn't there. But it just added more to their stories at the same time. And yet they had these like heavy discussions during the day, and then at night it was like a frat party, or like for some of them anyways, not all of them. But yeah, overall, these were some really, really great chapters. I'm curious, Greg, like what your thoughts were on just these setup scenes to getting everybody to be on the same page.
He doesn't remember your question. That's what's happening right now. This is Greg right now. Greg's like, what was that question? I wasn't expecting it to be thrown to me. I was laughing at John trying to go on Gmail and set up a Gmail account. I'm lost.
Then he can't because I already own it. I own that email account. I own that email account.
I've done enough shows with Greg to know exactly that awkward pause was It was pregnant with triplets. That's how pregnant that pause was, Greg. It was really pregnant.
So here's the deal.
That was amazing.
Justin, I understand what you're saying.
See, he understands.
I'm also trying to still reflect on John and his awkward comment about this whole scene. I don't think Tamlin's off cuff here as much as you all are leaning into it. I think he's desperate. I think he's a little bit where he's like, listen, y'all have screwed me over. I say this as someone, I love my wife. We're great. We're fantastic. Listen, like, you say a bad thing about my wife, I'll fight you. Because she's the best thing that is ever. You can clip this. However, I've gone through the gauntlet of some relationships with girls, and I've been Tamlined, I've been booty blinded by things. And when someone where I feel like where I'm like, ooh, this person's trying to encroach on someone that I had a thing for, that I felt like it was tight, like I can't completely fault Tamlin for how he acts. It's off the cuff, I get it, but I can't, like, I get it to an extent still, because he feels that there's a connection that is being manipulated. And so I have a little bit of like, I understand you, Tamlin. I don't agree with you.
But you see where he's coming from. Yeah.
I'm clearly Reese cup and French fry. I stand that 100.
Yes,
I ship
brought
it.
them for you.
So it is interesting because what I think I mentioned when I was talking about it earlier, what I do like about this book is Tamlin doesn't come until later, a couple of chapters into this meeting, right? Am I wrong on that? Like,
yeah,
there's the meetings being discussed, and then Tamlin comes in, and I don't know if you guys were like me, but I was like, oh, like
I think he just comes in like last. He just comes in late.
last, but he shows up like he wasn't there yet. He wasn't.
They weren't sure. They weren't sure if he was going to.
They weren't sure if he was going to show up, and he showed up.
Very possible that he wasn't going to.
I read this 4 months ago before Justin decided to finally read it, so I'm behind on it. But if my memory serves me correct, they were meeting. Tamlin wasn't there yet, and then Tamlin shows up and has some stuff to say. And I remember my emotions going like, oh, like I wanted Tamlin to be there because I wanted the drama. I didn't want it necessarily because I agreed with what Tamlin was doing, but I was like, as a storyteller, I want that drama. I want this, like, those awkward moments between Tamlin, Reese Cup, and French Fry. Like, I like that dynamic of like, this is awkward. Like, bro, I've stolen your girl, and now I'm gonna come to your abandoned mansion and taunt you while you're eating spaghetti. But
spaghetti, more like SpaghettiOs.
Right. So
this email just now exists.
Does it?
You guys can send an email. I don't know how often I'm going to check it, but yeah, women drama. Yeah, for sure. I live with that. So there you go. Libro Paradiso. If you don't know that that's Gore Vidal, you're missing out on a whole other section of Gore Vidal greatness. He says, I think Brian K. Vaughan needs to take a page from these books. So far, they seem to be much more interesting than a book whose name I can't bring myself to say. I mean, I get it. These are plot-driven books, not necessarily character-driven books. And character arcs are phenomenal and really interesting, but they are driven by story. They're driven by plot devices and MacGuffins and pieces. So you might really enjoy them, Gore. I think that they have a lot of great twists and turns and things happening. And because they're plot driven, the character moments are exciting and are interesting because they don't happen as often as the plot devices. That's just my takeaway. Yeah, I just spent all that time setting up a Google account, so I'm kind of off track from our store. From our debate.
Do you have any emails yet, John?
Not yet. I will have to log in. Did you just send me one?
I'm just saying you should check to see if you have any emails.
I have too many windows open. I don't want to crash the stream.
If you do have any emails, I would love for you to read them on air. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying we've gone for an hour and 15 minutes and we haven't even gotten to two characters I really think are interesting. So I'm going to derail you and talk about, we've got the two women in the Night Court that I think are fantastic.
Yeah.
And they both get wonderful stories here. You've got the Morrigan or Moore, right? And you've got Amren. And these two characters who are amidst the Bat Boys, against the boys club of the Night Court, are kind of these fascinating examinations of female archetypes. You've got the young Morrigan, the upcoming young woman who grew up in the Night Court and grew up in and around the under the mountain, and kind of what that was like for her with this awful family and being basically sold as cattle to other members of other courts. In fact, to Lucian's brother Eris, right? She was sold off, and she gets her little journey where she has to deal with this Valeris city being sold off to her awful father. And then you've got Amren, who is a fascinating character, clearly one of the goddesses, and has these amazing abilities, understands Nesta and Elaine in a different way that none of the other characters do. And her big sacrifice that she makes. So there's some really interesting stuff with these two women. And I want to throw this to Justin. I pick one of them if you want. I just would be curious to hear your thoughts, at least, about these two female characters, because I think they are an interesting separation from Cassian, from Rhysand, from Azriel. Kind of like the male-dominated Night Court has these two interesting archetypes, the sort of grandmother and young woman characters.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll start with Amren, and I think that her character from book 1 or from book 2 compared to what we get in book 3, there's so much transformation on what we learn about like who she is inside. And there's, all these little hints that are dropped in book 2 that are just like, oh, she's a monster, like she'll get you, or you don't know.
She's drinking blood at the dinner table.
Yes. Yeah. Like, is she a literal monster? Does she does something come out at night, or does she turn into a werewolf? Like, we didn't really know the rules or the way things worked. But we get way more of that in the second book, of basically understanding that she's very similar to the Bone Carver, or
Brad. In fact, she recognizes the Weaver and the Bone Carver as having connections to her, and the prison where they were held, right?
And so to just if you envision those characters and how monstrous they are, and to know that she, at least in her past life, essentially was something very similar and had the powers that were very similar to those characters, it's scary, and it's really interesting though to know that it's all into a body, and since then she's been able to be this human or fae that has feelings, that has empathy, that understands the way the world works in the same eyes or same views that the humans and the fairies do. And so I think that transformation is just so cool and interesting. And then of course, what she does in this book, the sacrifice that she makes, some of the moves that she makes during some of the war scenes where I know she holds Farah back, and I was confused. I was like, is she actually bad? What's going on here? And not realizing she's holding her back to save her, because she's about to make this big move and essentially do the thing she explained that she could do, and sacrificing her current memory and everything that kind of comes along with, to release her true self again. And we find out at the end that she's able to, become herself again, the person that they know, but not in the same way, doesn't have the same powers or the
cauldron has this altering effect on her, right?
Yeah. So that to me, that whole storyline is so cool about her, and just the way it was kind of rolled out slowly, I really appreciated, and had been intrigued from book 2 to book 3.
I commented on my post about this book that I didn't feel like it had enough twists at the end, that I wanted some bigger reveals, and this is the biggest reveal for me, was her basically sacrificing herself, right? Betraying Feyre and saying no, I'm sacrificing myself to the cauldron. I knew that this was going to happen. I want the sweet release of whatever this is going to be for me going forward. And I'm sorry that couldn't tell you that I was going to do this. That journey for her, and obviously we've seen her with Elaine and Nesta at various stages along the way, but I thought that reveal was kind of fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm with you.
So far, no emails yet. If Greg sent me an email, it hasn't come through yet. But it may have blocked him just instinctually.
Colossus is asking about Omni X-Men.
Yes, shout out to Ryan. He says, I don't read these books, but I missed John, so I thought I'd pop in. When is Omni X-Men and New Mutants back? It's going to require me to finish scheduling the season. I have done like
we got a lot of work to do.
without burning New Mutants too much. I've done 198th of the work to get us to where we need to be. So more work needs to be done. Don't make the non-X-Men fan yawn too hard here. He's not having it.
It's borderline 11 o'clock. I've been at this game. I don't stream like I used to.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. This is not a young man's game.
Old man Greg.
You gotta
get your bearded comic bro swag, by the way.
I don't do live streams.
Mint
very
green
often
is a good look
for this point because, like, man, I can't hang as like I used to. Like,
you're doing great.
I've got kids these days.
All right. Well, let's get you back to the topic here. We're talking Amryn and her journey and some of the stuff going on with her and the sisters. What are your thoughts on this character? That sneeze came hard.
It did. That was aggressive.
Oh
you don't have
it all red now.
I'm still here. You
don't have any emails to your address because I
Not
forgot
yet.
that. Because I forgot the S after comics. So I'm just letting you know.
It's late. It's late.
I've resent an email, but it is not showing that it is sent on my end.
Resend?
I Reese cup that. Yes, you're right. That was aggressive. That was another sneeze. Well done.
I got 2 emails now. And they're both from you.
Oh, so one did go through.
One of them is Google accounts letting me know that I have an account. And the other is from you, though.
Yes.
I do have you.
What does it say? Please
it
read
just
it
says
out loud.
John is the worst. It's all in caps. I don't know. That's aggressive.
I wanted your first email to be aggressive. Because I didn't want to like
it is.
He just loosened your ass,
It's got John's comics.
There's an S after comics.
More than one comic and more than one kid.
There's more Johns and there's more comics
at gmails.com.
Comms
with a Z.
There's an S after the comms. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say about this character.
Then I'm going to throw you to Moore. Let's talk about the Moore again.
Yes, please
because this is the other female character, the one who was basically awful family under the mountain, right?
They're the worst.
Rescued in some way by Rhysand and by Cassian and Azrael, both kind of in some way rescuing her from a horrible marriage to the Autumn Court. And she has a lot of anger with the big reveal that Rhysand has kind of sold out. He sells out Valerian to these people. Give me your thoughts on this, Greg. This is the big twist for me was that, not a twist, the big element here was that Rhysand would actually sell out the city that he protected for so long.
So if y'all haven't known, for the 2 people that are still watching, I've leaned in.
Yeah.
I've got the microphone close.
It's a little awkward. You're uncomfortably close.
Good. That's the way it should be. It should be uncomfortably close. Because here's the deal.
Okay.
Reese, I get what you're doing.
Yeah.
I get it. I love you, Reese Cup, just like I love Reese Cups in real life.
Yeah.
You are delicious in real
I don't
life.
want to know how you know that.
He's delicious in real life and in fictional life. I just know it. It is what it is.
It was really getting out of control.
Do you expect anything less? Like
No.
that's what okay.
All right.
But here's the deal, Reese. You were a sex slave for 50 years. to save this.
Hmm.
To save this town, this special bubble of a place
Yeah.
that you have.
Yeah.
That no one else knows about except for your inner circle.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest MacGuffin for me of the book series, where you are, let's just sell it out so we can make a deal. Listen, Eris is a dick. And what he's done and what I don't like a lot of Reese's moves here. I understand
he makes a really bad, bold choice, right?
He makes the move of like, hey, listen, this guy that
I'm gonna let Greg roll here.
raped you, like I don't like. Tamore's like, hey, we're gonna bring him in, and your family who has betrayed you and doesn't love you, doesn't care for you, and has wronged you, we're gonna let them have stake in your what we would call a safe space. And to me, it's like that's a bold move here, Reese Cup. As much as I like you, I don't like that decision. I feel like there's a better way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
You threw people that you love near and dear, as in Morse, in under a bus. You're like, hey, let's put you with your abusers and have them come into this situation. And you're one place where you feel that you have a sense of safety and security. Let's allow your abusers to just roam free in here. I'm like,
it's an outrageous choice.
Why are you blaming John?
I decided to up the smut game here with my no good comics tank. I said I wasn't going to, but I did it anyway.
Listen. I appreciate it. I appreciate the Batman Forever logo talking to me. I wanted to see you. I wanted to see you.
Now you get to see more of him.
You get a lot of me.
And I'm happy.
Maybe too much of me. Sheena's already left. Sheena's gonna come back on the rewind and be like, "What happened?"
She's gonna be like, "Wait, this is the same stream."
I hope, Sheena. I hope so. Yeah. DJ, welcome.
No, this is Bethany's husband. So this is
but
the other half.
But he just got home.
Okay.
So I said, "Welcome." To me, that meant he's just watching.
I just didn't know if you knew the connection. I'm just trying
to do. You guys are like a married couple.
John, listen, DJ is one of my fellow Ohio.
This is what happens when Greg and I don't talk enough for a certain period of time. It becomes this whole other thing. DJ. Justin and I can go months without talking, and it's just like it never changes.
DJ and I, we share a special bond. We love the great state of Ohio because we both live here.
That's it.
And he's going to spam John's email.
That's the whole bond.
You've never see this, John. You don't
never been to Ohio.
You've never been to Ohio. You don't know that bond.
I don't know.
You don't know that bond.
All right.
It's a great bond.
Okay. Justin, any thoughts on the Morrigan?
See, DJ, I knew your wife was in the chat because your wife mentioned the great bookstore in Columbus. I mentioned that bookstore.
And she fell asleep. I know she's sleeping. I don't want to wake her. She stuck with us a long time.
She did.
And she stuck with us late because I know they're both working. Sheena and her are both working tomorrow.
Yeah.
I wanted to give Justin a Morrigan shot. Did you have any thoughts on her and kind of like, because I feel like there's a lot there for her, and I understand her frustration with Reason's choice because I feel like I was on her side with that.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I know that's what you said.
But
I was putting on a tank top, but I was.
You're saying it like you put on a tank top, and you're saying it like you didn't even hear me, John.
I was half.
I said that.
I heard you,
John.
In my heart, I heard
you guys need to work this out. I can go if you guys need to step out.
I need you here. Every couples therapy needs a therapist.
On the mediator.
And this is me talking to my couples therapist. Do you see what I'm dealing with?
Yeah, I was great.
Do you see what I have to deal with? I'm trying to express my feelings, and he turns off his camera.
This is the
doesn't even
third
listen to
show
what
we've
I'm
tried to
saying.
get going together.
He asked me a question. He
John,
asked
let-
me a question
John,
and
let
then
him
goes
finish.
blank and doesn't
I
even
left.
care to listen to
But
my
I put up a
response.
logo that he would appreciate.
John, let him finish. Let him finish.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
How does that make you
Oh my
feel?
God,
Greg?
it's so good.
I don't feel like I'm in a I don't feel like I'm in a nest of safety here, okay?
Okay.
We're clipping this whole thing. This is fantastic.
Yeah. It's
Um,
awkward.
More. What were we saying about? Oh yeah.
You pulled the beard and move.
more.
You pulled the beard and move.
I'll tell you one thing that
Repeat the
stands out.
question.
The one
Repeat
thing
the
that
question.
stands out about more. I listened to the audiobook, and that's
Okay.
how that's how I did the majority of my reading. Some of it I read as well, and some of it I read along while listening, which is a cool experience. But there were moments where they would literally use her name, and then like in the same sentence or 2 sentences later refer to like more of something. And there were times where they would use more, and she wasn't even in the room. And I'm like, what is more?
So the adjective and the noun and the proper noun were being
Yes,
used.
it was there were
Got it.
several times where
I
like
never considered the challenge
oh
of this.
man, I'm like wait, Moore's in the room? I didn't know she even showed up. Like,
That's
like it's like a
that's a
private realm
hilarious.
conversation.
And maybe Sheena would agree that that's a audiobook only challenge that maybe other people wouldn't understand, because I read this digitally. I was just like,
Yeah.
blip, 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 blip.
Yeah, it just made me laugh because I
And
realized
I read this the way God created things to be read via paper.
There it is.
it's a beauty.
Respect. I mean, so that's all 3 different versions on this one stream alone.
I have the same as you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't have that shit. I don't have
Because Justin reads it audibly
I do-
and
I
then
do
still
like-
buys it because he is a consumer whore. He is a
Let me
he's
get
a
my
nest-
tumblers. Let me get my.
he's a Nesta of our group.
Let me get all my things.
There's,
Let me get my
there's so much going on
Pokemon.
here right now.
Don't worry,
There's
John.
so much
you notice,
happening right here.
John, you
I
notice
just
I,
hate
Let
it.
me get, let me get my one.
notice
piece.
I made sure the Nesta and I left the
I heard the
D-
T. The T.
I
you
left the D out.
hard.
Like, I put the
Look at
T
my
in
Dragon
and
Ball
left
Z.
the D out.
We're saving the D.
We're
for a
saving the
future
D for
stream.
episode 5.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta save the D. Gotta save the D.
Well, I don't even know that. I feel like we could almost skip the annual. I don't know that it needs an entire stream, but
Yes,
maybe
it does.
we need it for
Yes,
like
no,
emotional-
it does. It does.
Oh,
Yeah, you got some stuff to add to that.
Oh, let's no, because we're
I'm
invested.
only
in
a
this
quarter.
game.
I'm only a third into that book.
Which means you're barely done. You'll be done this weekend.
Yeah. No, we're doing an
That's 2 hours.
episode 4 of the Christmas annual.
All right. The only thing I had left that we haven't actually, there's 2 things because Justin threw one into the chat that I want to mention is the big finale, right? The big reveals, the big ending when everything kind of comes together. You have the final battle, characters dying, recent sacrifice, all that kind of big Jedi Return of the Jedi battle sequences happening. Greg, what were your thoughts on how that kind of finished out? Recent obviously goes through the Faery process of like sacrifice, and then hey, everybody show up and bring him back to life, and Tamlin has to show up again for his second redemptive moment.
I didn't like that. That part
What did you
annoyed
like?
me.
What did you
What,
like
the
about it?
Tamlin part or the whole thing?
The recent or the Tamlin part? Yes, is the correct answer.
Here's the deal. It Sarah, I love you.
Yeah.
You're great. You're crafting worlds that I love and that I'm invested in and I adore.
Okay.
I want to preface that. I want to get. Someone once told me that if you're going to critique someone, give them a compliment sandwich. So give them the bread, something nice.
It's good.
Give them the spam in between, and then give them a nice piece of bread afterwards. Like
Yeah.
at least compliment them.
Smart.
So Sarah, I love you. I think you've given me a world that I adore and I'm invested in. It has given me years and years, because I assume I'm going to read this for years and years of love, laughter, tears, and joy. Girl, you did this in book 1. I don't need it in book 3. Like,
Okay, Can I speak to this? It's
No,
they
not yet.
brought the Death Star back. It's the same thing.
I don't like this.
It's a
I don't
Return of the
like it.
Jedi trope.
No, it's a Return of the Jedi. It's also a freaking Force Awakens. Okay, they killed this. I don't want it. I don't want that.
You may not like it. I'm just saying it's another thing that proves the Return of the Jedi theory that I had.
Fine.
I was dismissed roundedly, and I got hateful emails about
as
it.
you should. As you should. I don't.
From one individual in particular.
Because let's be honest, they didn't build. How can you build the Death Star that quick? I saw a TikTok recently.
You're not going to talk about Star Wars.
No, I saw a TikTok recently where it was like, if the trilogy came out in today's genre of movies, with people like, they'd be like, oh, Return of the Jedi. Oh, they're doing the Death Star again. Oh, how did a Jedi not know that Jabba had a trap door underneath him? And I get it and I understand.
Yeah.
Again, send all Star Wars hate to John's Comics with Kids at gmail.com. That's where you can
throw new email address.
It's a great new email address.
It's real.
It's blown up.
Also,
make sure any responses.
Whoever's in charge of John's Comics with Kids at gmail.com, make sure you are liked and subscribed to Bearded Comic Pro on YouTube, because you can do that with a Gmail account.
I should do that. Yeah.
So make sure you do that. Get those likes and follows up. That'd be great. It felt like, because I'm reading it so quickly, it felt like a trope that I was like, you just did this move. I don't want this move to happen. Like, find some other way to the whole he died and everybody brought him back to life using their magical fairy powers. I did not like that at all. That was like, if I was giving it a Goodreads and like this would have been a 5 stars, it probably got a 4 stars because of that for me.
That moment alone.
That moment, because I experienced that, I was just like, we're doing this again. I watched Return of the Jedi when I was a kid, and I know there was some space between it.
Okay.
Where I saw that. So like there was a little, and even then I feel like I was a smart enough kid going like, we're doing this again? Like, I don't dislike it, because listen, I liked Force Awakens. I was like, oh, we're doing the exact same part of A New Hope in Force Awakens. It's the exact same movie. I'm okay with that because it gave me that nostalgia. There was some years between it where it earned that credence. It didn't do that. So,
okay, Justin, thoughts on that? The recent sacrifice and rebirth kind of like.
Hey, sequence? I just jumped up to 1,402 subscribers now because of John. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Bearded Comic Bro, YouTube.
The link is down below in the description of this video.
And also, Justin's going to drop that link in the chat because he knows how. Because I don't.
Can't.
Oh my god, I have the worst farmer tan. Look at that! Holy crap!
I didn't want to say anything. You live.
I'm just going to keep it. If I keep this arm low, it looks fine. The second it comes up, it's like,
yeah. Hold on. I'm there kind of, but I'm not showing it off.
I wear short sleeves all day long, and then I'm standing outside, and it's like,
you got to wear that beautiful tank top more often. You know,
I need to wear that. This is the best tank top I own.
Well, let me send you a Bearded Comic Bro tank top then. It doesn't exist, but if that's the best you own, I'm gonna top that.
All I've got is that nice mint green.
That mint. For you. Also,
this looks good.
All your merchandise at beardedcomicpro.com as well. I've never seen Justin wear a Bearded Comic Bro shirt, but go ahead, Justin, talk.
Ain't nobody wearing John's Comics with Kids.
I don't have one.
I got more subs than everybody.
Bro, ain't nobody wears the John's Comics with Kids. You want to talk about how I got swindled into wearing?
That's not a John's Comics with Kids. That's a Comic Core King John Free shirt.
I bought a freaking shirt with your picture on it.
It's got my face on the front and the back.
That's a great one.
Both sides.
It's on both sides.
It's on both sides. Apparently, I paid $40 for a t-shirt so I can get your mug on both sides of my shirt.
Just so that when we meet, I can slap you and you'll have my face on your.
Listen, I hope
your name out.
I paid $100 for that
I'm
slap.
Chris Rock when you see me.
Yeah. I get to be Will Smith in this story. I don't know. I like that. Okay, Justin, rescind. Go ahead.
So I don't think I necessarily broke it down in the same way that Greg, you had pointed all that out. I mean, the sheer fact that yes, they are kind of redoing that, or it didn't like come to mind to me as I was reading this, and I think
But
this
it did
like
now.
well, yeah, oh, for sure. It didn't really bother me, but it was also just like I didn't think he was gonna die. Like I was like he's not. You know, there was.
Could you
to
read
me,
comic books?
Yeah, you're right. Yes, there was no
Oh,
real
Superman
worry.
got killed by Doomsday.
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
No, yeah,
Batman
exactly.
broke his back. Oh.
Exactly.
Fair.
So yeah, I wasn't really like I kind of just moved past that as we went. I do like, as you said in the beginning, John, I like that the stakes were really high in this, and I do like some of the emotional moments where like Rhysand had that really powerful speech at the end of just like the ways he grew because of each of these individuals. I love that scene, that chapter or whatever it is,
Yeah.
before they go into war and them realizing like this could be the last time. Like I felt like the stakes were high. I felt like
Yeah.
you know, it got me to that point where it, you know, it took a whole book to work up to that. So I like the direction that it went in, you know, generally speaking on the build up to the war and then actually getting the war. I already talked about the 3 death gods. That was like so hyped for me.
Yeah.
And then just getting, you know, then we talked about the dad coming in on the other side. I'm trying to think of the movie reference that reminds me of.
Is it like a Lord of the Rings thing?
Battery's
Yeah.
not
Patriot.
included.
No, like the Patriot, like
Oh.
you know, the French coming in from the
Yeah.
other side with
I like my reference better. Battery's
so
not included.
but
John,
yes.
he hasn't seen that movie. That's why he's ignoring it.
so
What
all that
movie?
Battery's not included.
oh yeah, no, I
Oh,
haven't
of course,
seen
I
it.
see batteries. not
I know.
included.
Justin hasn't.
No, I-
That's
oh,
why he's
Justin's pretty
ignoring
young.
it.
Yeah, he's young. He's young.
It's a great movie. That's a great movie.
I believe
man.
you. I believe you.
It's solid.
We
Lot
should
of
talk
things-
about it,
A
John.
lot of things before I was born were great, but you know,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying though. Like, if you're not feeling like it's repeating, it's got some weight to it, like that whole sequence. And
right.
but I think it doesn't, like you're saying, it doesn't emotionally carry because you're like, he's not gonna die. Like they've
That
got
part
other
didn't.
novels.
Yeah,
He's not gonna die.
Exactly. Yeah, that part was not.
And in that way, I felt like I was like just waiting. Okay, how are they gonna work through this?
Yeah.
The Tamlin having to come and give a bit of his power to bring him back, that had a weight to it that I thought was emotionally interesting.
Yeah, and
Right.
and actually, even going before that, I did want to point out the scene where Farah and Azrael have to go undercover to go save Elaine, and this is still before
Right.
the war part.
Yeah.
I was like pretty hyped when Tamlin showed up at the end of that.
His other redemptive moment, right?
Yeah.
He basically like tears through the camp and like saves the
I thought that was huge.
escape.
I mean, that was
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, that whole chapter was great because I really liked. I mean, I was nervous for them, worried
Yeah.
about her. You know, she hears someone else is dying. It's not her sister, but she wants to save her anyways.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the I forget the names that like worship the fairies or whatever.
Yeah.
And then and Tamlin coming back. Anyways, that was a big part for him too. Yeah,
For sure.
Tamlin.
No, 100%. The one thing so we've broken down almost everything on my big list except for the one Justin threw back in. Justin mentioned Jurian, and for those that don't know, Jurian was basically a floating eyeball in the first book, and then the second book revealed to be potentially the like right hand of the villain King of Hybern.
Yep.
In book 3, he's like plot twist on plot twist. No, I'm actually on your side. I'm undercover. Let me help you out.
He's Starro.
Yeah, he's got a little element there.
Oh, big guy.
Yeah. So, Justin, what is it you wanted to say about that character? Because obviously he has twist upon twist going on here.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it. The fact that there were so many twists with him, and I didn't see that coming. Like I didn't see him being a good guy at all. Like that, to me he was painted as this. Well, especially when we saw him as like the right hand to Hybern, like that
At the cauldron scene at the end of second book.
I'm like, okay, so that's his like posse, and they're together. You know, that's the crew of bad guys there. So that to me defined it for the rest of the way. I didn't even consider him to be like on the inside or working on the flip side, and he was clearly huge help. I mean, to Farah and everybody. Like I know you played the whole scene with Elaine being on the Grayson side. He kind of like was showed up there initially. But then on top of that, just the scene I was talking about before, like going undercover to try to save Elaine, and him like, you know, she's well, they used their power or whatever to make her look like Ianthe, and you know, she's like undercover as Ianthe, and he's like, he gets it and he's playing along. Like I love that whole scene of them, like, you know, wink wink, like he's like, Ianthe, why don't you show me what that mouth can do? And you know, like, you know, like, and they're like whispering like she's okay, there, you know, your sister's okay, like all this stuff. So and then he even helped by bringing the other girl that she was trying to save to the edge of the cliff so that, you know, she could take her and save her. So like just all that stuff to me was a great spin to a character who was mentioned throughout, you know, every book, and ended up playing a much larger part than I thought he was going to.
Totally.
Yeah.
Greg, any Jurian thoughts? Obviously, we also have the like original love story from this universe that is brought back in, which for me feels like, do I care? But like, obviously, they're part of the Jurian love triangle thing.
Let me put this in terms that you both would understand.
Is it going to be Jean Grey, Wolverine, and
Jurian's like the Cyclops of the group. Like,
I'll accept this.
Like,
because Jean ends up with Wolverine in this story, so
you're like, oh, I don't like this character. Like, oh, he did okay. He's kind of doing something. Like, do I kind of like him? Like, is he kind of actually making smart moves? Like, I think I like him because he's doing this, but I still don't really like this character. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
He's Cyclops of this trilogy.
You don't know what to make of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me how good that was. That was great.
Accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm impressed that you made an X-Men reference and it was accurate.
Yeah.
Like that's
you're welcome.
We've talked a lot about Bat Boys, so we gave you stuff at the beginning, but now you're giving back.
I didn't even take the bait on the Bat Boys.
No, you didn't. You were quiet about it.
I didn't. I ignored it. I said, nope, I'm not going to take that bait.
All right. So I'm going to throw one question just to kind of spurn the end of this discussion here. Greg, rank the first 3 books for me. That's what I wanted out of this discussion. That's what I like. Get him spinning in his look. He's like doing this. He's like spinning in his chair.
Listen,
I like it. Go.
I only have 2 kids.
It's already off to a good start.
So this analogy falls a little flat when I talk to that, because I only have 2 kids. I love them both. They're great.
I hope so.
They're fantastic.
Justin's gonna spit bourbon on the
screen. Does one have the lead on who I like more? I don't know.
That sounds like it definitely has an answer, but we're not gonna poke that thread.
No, I say that for the bit. No, I like them both. They're both fantastic. They're both great.
I mean, the first book has to go last, right? It's the lowest.
This is why I hate this question.
John, get a half a straight answer out of this guy.
John, here's the deal.
I even say I T-balled that to you. Good God, man.
Let me get in close. Let me move. I moved the mic in. I'm getting close. I'm getting personal. Here's the deal.
Let's get it. Let's get in here.
Justin, please get in close. Justin, thank you.
Let's get. He's got a lot further to go. He's bringing a statue. Okay.
So
it's piggy bank.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Book 2 is the book.
I don't get told that enough in my life.
Book 2 is 1 for me.
Okay, I'm agreeing.
I'm hard pressed to put 3 over 1 for this one fact. I don't get the appreciation of book 2 and 3 without book 1. So it's really hard for me. It's really hard for me to say book 1 is the worst of the bunch when it set the stage for a series that I love and that I'm invested in and I care about a lot, because if I don't have book one, I don't have book two doesn't hit the way it needs to hit if we don't have book one.
And
so
book three doesn't work.
It doesn't work as well. So it's really hard for me to say book one's not as good as book two or three, because if you don't have book one, it sets the stage too much.
Okay.
So I will say this fully, book two is my favorite, and I'm not going to pick between book one and three.
I'm gonna make this even more awkward by doing this. Like, does that get
That's
it?
even better. I'll just repeat what I said. So, John, here's the deal.
I'm so glad I didn't have any bourbon there. Wow.
I was waiting to click that. That's a fair assessment. And you know what I like most about it is it supports my Star Wars trilogy comment earlier, because a lot of people make that comment that they respect A New Hope because without it, right? It doesn't exist. Justin, how do you rank these books?
I don't think it's the idea of like, you're not saying that you don't respect book one or movie one or whatever one.
I think
right?
you do.
Of course,
Justin, go ahead and say how you think book.
I'm sorry, I had to mute him there for a second.
I'm just saying every.
Don't worry, I have control of John Channel. I can unmute myself.
That's right. That's right.
Justin, go ahead. Say how you don't think book one is not as good as the others, but
I'm saying that clearly every book one matters, because you can't have it sets
World
up every
building.
book two and every book three. Like, you could literally apply that to every single book. Like, of course, like I'm gonna say I like book one. I like book one. I just like it least of the three. It's just like Marvel. It's just like I like all the Marvel movies. I like all the MCU movies, but Thor 2 and Thor 4 are just the least liked ones for me. Like it's very similar, you know. I still will like them. I just don't like them as much as I like.
Stop, John.
I think the ranking is accurate.
John, before you say anything,
I didn't even say what was number
John,
one.
before you say anything, John, don't you dare allow Justin to get away on this stream comparing ACOTAR book one to freaking Thor 2. Screw you.
No. I don't think that's the comparison.
I'm trying to describe what the word
comparing
like
it to Thor 2, which is actually worse.
Justin said, Justin said you don't get Thor 1 and 3 without 2 and 4, as saying that because he doesn't like 4 because he's woke, and he doesn't like 2.
Wait.
No. And apparently he doesn't like 2.
Shows derailed in the perfect way.
He's comparing book 1 to Thor 2, and I will not allow. You can pick a better comparison, Justin. Pick a better comparison. Do not compare ACOTAR to book 2, Thor 2. No. You do
I am
not.
not comparing.
How about
Captain
America? How about Captain America?
Fine. Captain America.
Let's use numbers. We can just use numbers.
Captain
Book
America
1, 2,
works,
and 3.
You know, Winter Soldier, Civil War, and First Avenger.
Fine.
I mean, I think
It's
we're
the idea,
analogy, John.
the idea that you like something and you like something else more. That's all. Something and something else.
This is why Greg doesn't often join us on Omni X-Men. He's always like, do we invite him?
Very simple. It's very simple.
No, because
we could do Harry Potter.
We could do Thor 2
Star
to
Wars.
skin class. Not enough. Cliff, honestly,
this show is called A Court of Beards and Bourbon.
Listen, Cliff,
Cliff,
you would think
sorry.
you would think we've drank more than we have. This is just me running on no sleep.
And he's been on 2 streams tonight.
Yeah,
I
and both of them are at least 2 hours.
I maybe had 3 bourbons, which is nothing.
There you go. Yeah,
this is no sleep.
I will say I agree with Justin. Like for me, it's a clear 2-3-1 kind of scenario here. I don't hate any of the books, and my rankings on Instagram kind of clearly show that I don't have any animus for any of them.
I love them.
But I think my emotional response was so strong on 2 and 3, and on 1, I was just kind of placidly going along with it and wasn't as emotionally weighted. I didn't like Tamlin from the jump, and then Recent was like,
called it.
I see something going on there. I see some stuff happening there.
I think how Greg's our shoulder basin.
He's so upset. He's salty.
Very
This is the saltiest I've ever seen Greg on one of my streams ever. And he's been on a lot of my streams where I've said some outrageous things.
Greg,
I don't disagree. Because I don't disagree with you. I don't know if I think I do like book one the least, but y'all are selling it as in like Justin compared to the Thor 2, which is a travesty. So Justin, just come back.
I like Captain America: The First Avenger, but it's
John,
just not on
better.
the same
John,
level.
you're better. You're better because I saw, gang. I'm gonna put this out there in the ethos to the 6 people watching this.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet literally a week ago.
Okay.
Where I made the statement.
Yeah.
That I said, I don't care who knows this. And this is before I had comic YouTube channel like this. So this was just a take.
I'm loving. Hold on.
Yeah, there you go.
This was just a take before I even like this wasn't for hot takes or anything. And I said, I don't care who needs to hear this. But I said this. I Facebook message this. I'll find it, and because I want to back it up. I want to put that out there. I said I don't care who knows this, but it needs to be said. Green Lantern is a better movie than Captain America.
Wait, what?
It's a horrible take. I get it. I was
Not
wrong.
good. Not good.
It was a bad take.
Memorable.
It's memorable, but so we've all been wrong on takes, and that's all I'm saying. I bring that up to say we're
This is true.
no, Cliff. It's probably just you.
It's not just you. I think Sheena and LaBethany fell asleep, but they're still counted because they're still streaming it.
And John has another email now, though. So he's
Yes.
I do.
And
Yeah, I'm
I'm
actually
also-
watching this on 3. I'm like
here's the
Carrie
deal.
now. I've got
There's
3
some-
accounts.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us on the stream. We're all have it up as we're watching it as
I'm
well.
also watching Jigs at the same time, so
Yeah.
I'm not even watching my own stream. I'm focused.
So yeah, listen. I like you, John. I like your analogy better, Justin.
Okay.
Justin compared book 1 to Thor 2, which I don't agree with, and I think is a travesty.
So this leads to a great question that only Greg can really answer, which scares me.
Good.
Book 3.5, right? Frost and Starlight, the annual, doesn't for me feel like a full live stream, but obviously we've gone 2 hours on this epic tome.
Oh, we're doing it. No, we're doing it.
Greg is saying locked and loaded.
Locked and loaded. John and I, we're bringing it on a special guest. I don't even want to say who it is yet, gang. We're
do
bringing
we
on a
know
special guest
Okay.
for book 4.
Do I remember booking this?
Yeah. Oh, we've already booked it. It's happening.
Thank you for taking care of this. He's not going to offer anything else. Okay.
No, I'm not telling you who it is yet. No,
I thought he froze.
no, I'm not telling you.
He fell behind his mic there.
Honestly, I'm looking through my messages. I'm trying to find where I want to put it out there. I screenshotted where I said Green Lantern was a better movie, and I want to find it.
Nobody needs evidence of this. I
No,
believe you
we
said
do.
it.
Yeah, we believe you.
Nobody is
it's
doubting the existence of this tweet.
There's no one out
They're
there. Like,
doubting.
"No, you
They're
didn't,
doubting.
Greg."
Well,
the
hey,
shock.
well, no, timeout, freeze. John, make me big.
Oh Jesus!
Listen, I haven't found the tweet yet, but I did find this.
Jesus Christ.
And since
What
I
did
have
blow you up for?
since I have X-Men fans on this, I feel like this is appropriate.
Okay.
This is what I did find.
It is great. That is a great comparison. Electric Company and Bishop. Accurate.
Thank
This
you.
is where we've come. We're almost at 2 hours.
Yeah, we're
So thank you to those of you in the chat. You don't need the links because their links are down below for these 2 gentlemen, but we are definitely signing off. Nobody said TK. Nobody needs
John,
that.
make it big. John, make it big.
God dang
I
it.
want to put my money where my mouth is.
Screen grab it, people.
there it
It's
is.
right there.
Listen, 2 people liked it, so you know it was a good Facebook set.
Clearly, it was a quality take. Both of those fans loved it.
2011.
Does it
August
calculate
23rd,
thumbs down?
2011.
All right, we're down to 3 people watching live.
Do you do that, John? You said you don't do this for the views.
I don't. I do this for Sheena and for Bethany. I have two fans
right.
that I'm doing this for.
That's right.
Everybody else is just gravy. And so the fact that Hack and TK and Cliff are hanging out here watching this to the end, I appreciate you gentlemen.
TK
as well.
Streaming something. He's playing video games.
Playing
Twitching
Red
video
Dead
games
Redemption
right
or something. Yeah. Here's the fun of this. I'm reading books that I never would have read otherwise, and talking with my best friends in this community. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and I laughed so much. And I needed this. This was a really long week, and hanging out with you guys. The Court of Beards and Bourbon was strong tonight, and I appreciate you gentlemen an absolute ton.
Time out, John. Before you cut off, can you pull up Cliff's last comment?
I'm not loading you any larger. I'm not.
No, I don't want to be but listen, Cliff. Here's the deal. Yes, that's a compliment, because if you have mashed potatoes and you go, you know what, this will be good. It could use some gravy. That's not a bad thing. Oh, this turkey it's a little dry. It could use some gravy. You're the gravy here, bro. You're the gravy to our chat. It's a compliment.
Let me throw it another layer deeper that Cliff might really appreciate. It's the lubrication of food.
Thank you. You lubricated this chat.
What's up, Adam? We're just signing off. We will be back. Apparently, Greg has already signed a guest for our fourth stream, Frost and Starlight. And then I've got to read the fifth book at some point. I've also got Paul from Big O ready for Throne of Glass. And I've got to read the third book there. So I've got a ton of reading ahead of me. I got a 3-day weekend with no sporting events. I plan to read a ton. So it's going to be a lot of fun chilling in chats and reading a bunch this weekend. I've got a show Saturday night I want to mention. Mr. Gretzky has been talking to me a ton about his love for Bond films. And he's like, John, I want to do a live stream talking about Bond films, but I don't want to host it. Would you host it? So Saturday night, I'm talking Bond films with Mr. Gretzky. He said, I got to have Carlito on there. So Carlito is joining me. Greg is upset because almost every movie show I do, Greg joins. And he's not invited. He's not invited for the Bond stream. I'm sorry about that.
Wait.
Unfriended, unfollowed. I understand.
But you have a new Gmail though. So.
Yes, there's a Gmail.
Listen,
send your hate mail.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, gang. Here's
I'm
why.
getting so close to the damn screen.
No, I'm getting close to the camera for this. Here's the deal. Why? Because when I started a YouTube channel, I didn't know who John was, and then John did a stream about movies. And I commented because I was one of the 3 people in his chat.
All of them, yeah.
And John was like, hey, you seem like you know a lot about movies. Do you want to join me for my next chat? And I said, yes, let's do it. We created this fantastic show called Drinks and Movies.
Yeah.
And then he abandoned it and is doing it now with other people and just not calling it Drinks and Movies. And I'm hurt.
I apologize.
Back to normal screen.
Ooh, this is a heavy stream, guys.
Just thought I had a drink.
You guys are really working something out here. The back and
Didn't
forth.
I have a drinks and movie intro at some point?
John, you see how much
we had so much. We had a logo.
Oh, it's right here. It's right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Drinks and Movies with your hosts, Bearded Comic Bro and John from John's Comics with Kids. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up for Drinks and Movies.
What I love about this is if you don't know me at all, I don't care.
I know you don't care, buddy.
I do want the fact that I'm doing 2 live streams in one night is killer for me.
Yeah.
I hate doing live streams. I don't even watch live streams. So then I'm here
intro in.
I didn't even make an intro for when I talk movies with Perry. That's just how it goes.
We did it though for like a year. We did a
ton of
solid
movies.
Month for a year.
Why are we still talking? I don't know what's going on. So prepare for more. Omni X-Men will be back.
Wait, more the character? Oh, sorry.
Yes, more. more.
You see what I mean? It can totally throw you.
It's very confusing.
And join me
audio
on John's channel as we talk 007 tomorrow night.
The Skyfall. Gentlemen, anything we want to mention before I cancel this? Because nobody's listening. But all four. We got our Adams, we got our TKs, we got our Cliffs out there. What's going on?
Justin, what you got going on?
We gotta bring it back to chapter 42 for a second. I'm just kidding.
Isn't it 55?
It's 52.
55.
You're right, Justin.
Yeah.
Always need. We didn't discuss the spice at all, but I do
didn't
feel
know
like this was a spice
This was a
light.
spice
book.
About the bone carver though.
Yeah, this book is pretty spice light. I mean, there's the reunion of Feyre with Rhysand that's like a little something, but that's about it.
Just
It's
wait
spice
till book
light.
5, John. Just wait till book 5.
I'm ready.
No, you're
I've-
not. No,
I've
you're not.
seen enough memes that I'm thinking.
No, you're not. As ready as you think you are, you're not.
All right. Well, then I'm going to bounce. Greg's got a great channel too. Lots of comic creator interviews. He even did a new recent cooking with Mrs. Bearded that was really entertaining.
We did that Texas Blood green bean casserole.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, creator interviews. Just had a couple weeks ago. I had Steve Orlando, who does Scarlet Witch.
October. Sure.
Last week or 2 days ago, I dropped an interview with Shane Connery Volk,
Yep.
who is artist writer of Prairie Gods and the artist of Nottingham. And next week, gang, I'm dropping my interview with Zach Kaplan, who fantastic writer of Kill All Mortals, Mindset, which was my favorite comic of 2022. Like, it's a great interview. So
Nice.
yeah.
So all the links for those gentlemen is down below. If you aren't subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. I've subscribed now 3 times, like apparently to Greg. So I'm about to go resubscribe to Justin because his link is not in the chat. He hasn't dropped his own link. He won't do it. He won't.
I don't know how to do it, Justin.
Waiting for Greg. Do it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me try it.
Not gonna happen. It's gonna take too long.
He's gonna
for him to get
disconnect.
it.
Done.
He's gonna.
It's
No
in the
way.
chat. Click that, gang.
You're the best, Greg.
Inaccurate.
I knew you'd come through.
All right.
I knew you'd.
So until
Look at that.
tomorrow night, gentlemen, I don't know if I've got some things to unbox, so maybe I'll do a live stream tomorrow morning if I'm not completely hungover from this. But thanks everybody for coming by, and shout out to Sheena and Bethany, and see you guys for next ACOTAR.
Bye.